One of the biggest local news stories in 2025 led to the ouster of a longtime county executive. What do you say to voters who want some accountability?
Well, I think that as a county executive, I'm accountable for the things that I can control. No doubt about it.
Jackson County, Missouri voters removed Frank White from office in a landslide in September, pointing to many issues with sky-high property assessments and tax bills, failed stadium deals, and his lack of attendance at county meetings.
I don't feel like he listened, and he needs to be gone. They need somebody that has a good ear that will support them, and that was so wrong.
Up until the end, White questioned the process that led to the election. He even tried two 11th-hour court battles to overturn the results, to no avail. Soon after, the county picked a new executive to fill out the rest of White's term, and he didn't waste time making changes. First up, property taxes. New county exec Phil Lavoda worked to provide tax rebates to property owners hurt by high assessments and even fired the county assessor who oversaw those issues. Lavoda rolled back assessments for people who had appealed as well and agreed to a higher tax bill at the time.
I would say it's not fair. I would say that they shouldn't have done what they did in 23 and they shouldn't have overpaid.
Lavoda is in office until December of next year and has told us he has no interest in running for the job himself.
It's a new day for Wyandotte County, and this is a day for the people.
Change was a constant in the metro this year. Wyandotte County now has a new leader. Education and nonprofit leader Crystal Watson is the new mayor and CEO of the unified government. She tells us she wants to tackle rising property taxes and bring a sense of stability back to City Hall. Earlier in the year, Kansas City, Missouri made a change. Leaders promoted longtime city employee Mario Vasquez to the post of city manager. The move came a little more than a month after the city council unanimously fired Brian Platt amid controversy about transparency and a lost lawsuit to the tune of $1.4 million. We also saw a new approach to fighting and curbing crime in our community. Melissa Johnson took over as Jackson County prosecutor this year, telling us at the time she wanted to use a more holistic approach to make the county a safer place to live.
We're not going to truly feel safe even if I am getting strict bonds or even if I am getting strong sentences when the crime continues to occur and more people are victimized. We have to have a preventative mindset.
Johnson, who used to be Mayor Quinton Lucas's director of public safety, pledged to work more closely with police departments across the metro. 2025 did see a drop in crime in Kansas City, Missouri. Non-fatal shootings dropped by nearly a third, and at last check, homicides are down slightly over this time last year. Let's discuss 2025 and beyond with Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year. First off, let's talk crime. Homicides, of course, typically get top billing when it comes to coverage. More than 130 in a year is still pretty high. What's being done to curb crime here at home?
You know, I think there are a few things that are happening. Prosecutor Johnson notes that there is a Save KC program where we work with KCPD, the County Prosecutor's Office, the City of Kansas City to make sure that you're not just doing the enforcement, which is important, but you're also doing preventative work. How do you intervene in cycles of violence? How do you make sure people with a high likelihood to shoot back, to retaliate, are frankly focused on so that we have deterrence before they take some steps? So that's going to be a key step in 2026 of what we continue to do. The other part, you will have the municipal detention facility coming online. Early June is our estimate right now. That's another space where we can address more public safety concerns. We're hitting every part of it, from the prevention side to enforcement, social services, and incarceration. That's why you're going to continue to see change and declines in crime in Kansas City, which is a positive trend for us all.
You've worked on affordable housing as well. We see the Parade Park project start to get started on the east side. There have been a number of fires there too. What are the challenges for you as you work to improve parts of the city?
You know, anytime that you work on a big project where you have a lot of buildings, frankly, that are sitting around probably insufficiently secured, you worry about squatters, you worry about folks that are going in there, really setting fires to stay warm. So in Parade Park, there are two steps that need to be addressed. The first of which is, how do we get those folks who are there into shelters, into opportunities for those who are experiencing homelessness? That is a key part. The other part, you got to secure those structures. You need to demolish the buildings as necessary, and that project needs to move. The City of Kansas City will invest up to about $30 million in that project. It's an important one that will help provide more than 1,000 units of housing in Kansas City. It just, sometimes you have that slow start. We're working closely with the developer to make sure that we deliver, and this is a key part of my goal, to get 10,000 units of new, affordable, and accessible housing to Kansas City during my mayoral term. We're very proud. I think we're about 7,000 down now. We look forward to more progress on that soon, too.
All right. Want to talk stadiums. At the time that we're recording this, still up in the air.
Yep.
T-Mobile told us Their lease extension was denied in Overland Park after 2029. Does that make you nervous? This seems like more than posturing.
You know, look, it does not make me nervous. I think that there continues to be a robust, if lengthy, conversation about where the stadiums are likely to go, and that's ongoing. I expect resolution early in the year, frankly, from at least one of our teams. All that being said, I think the T-Mobile news is interesting. I look forward to making sure that we work to have T-Mobile stay in the Kansas City metro, whether that's staying in Overland Park or that's looking at other areas. Kansas City, Missouri would obviously always roll out the red carpet for 3,500 up to 4,000 employees. What's important is we make sure those jobs aren't shipped off to Washington State, to Texas, to any other part of our country. They're based in Washington State, so we'll make sure we reach out to them and let them know they're welcome. But this just shows a lot of the drama that surrounds our ongoing kind of real estate discussion centered on stadiums.
All right, 30 seconds left. Let's talk World Cup next year because that is huge. Big developments. Things have been in the works all year. What are you most excited for?
I'm excited to see Argentina come and play here pretty soon, but we've got great teams: Argentina, Algeria, Ecuador, the Netherlands, and more. And so I think Kansas Cityans will be thrilled. Probably the most exciting part of that, our transportation connections from Liberty to Lenexa, getting you to Arrowhead Stadium, downtown at FanFest. The World Cup isn't just about visitors, it's about Kansas Cityans. I think we'll have a great time.
All right, it'll be interesting to see if some of those infrastructure changes stick around. Mayor Quinn Lucas, thank you so much.